Okay, we should be live. Welcome back. It says we're live. There we go. Let's see if anybody shows up after. That was a shaky start. My gosh. Okay. But it's back. I at least see myself and it says excellent connection, so hopefully others will show up. And I'm just going to play with percussive for a little while we wait. So, a painful wait. How appropriate. Welcome back. It's like we're starting all over again. It's a new relationship. Hope you're all well. You guys made it back. Talk about torture. Man, I tell you, I put the Plug and Guru Nation. You guys have to go through a torturous thing sometimes. And I'm sorry about that. This library will be coming out next week. This is a library that's already out if you own this for Omnisphere, but it's coming out for Unify. And it's fun. It's really fun to have all these crazy percussion grooves playing from Omnisphere. Something Omnisphere really wasn't, I mean, it can do it, of course. Nobody's gone anywhere close to this level of programming that I've seen in library work. This, the OMG libraries. And breathe. Yeah, right? So it's fun. Let's load this up as a Unify layer. So it's loaded this whole entire thing. When it's done, down here is a new layer. So I can delete all of these guys, and now I have that same thing just as a single layer. So I can go in, I can add. Yeah. I'm sorry, I had some settings wrong. I didn't have time to fix them. So now I have fixed them. So let's do this. Let's map this down to low C and then transpose it up a whole bunch. And I'm going to set this to latch and lock. So now I can go over here to the pianos. I could go to BPM keys from the Keyscape library. Add this. And then we could go over somewhere else. Let's go to Neutronics. This is a very complex library. They kind of went programming heavy on this. Everything has a lot going on. I think we can find something that will fit nice and... Why are you not playing? As a layer. Now for this to work, it's kind of a raw synth sound, right? Let's put some reverb on it. Let's filter some of the high end out so it's not so harsh. There. Nice. So sometimes you have to shape the sounds a little bit to get them to work, especially when you're just calling up something off the cuff and you don't know what you're going to get. Let's add wide eyes. Yeah, nice. So, the original plan, back to where we started. Actually, I think my voice is actually a little bit hot right now, so I'm gonna just turn down the mic just a little bit. Right levels. There. So we have a lot going on, but it looks like only 4 levels. This Unify patch right here is calling up 6 patches. This is calling up just Omnisphere. Now I'll show you a trick. I like to do this a lot. You can copy this layer and then paste, replace, and that will put it back to being Omnisphere. Takes a minute to load back up, it seems, for the piano. Cool. So the Neutronics library, let's talk about that for a little bit. It is a library for Omnisphere 2, as I've mentioned. It comes with 197 patches. Let's first look at it inside of Omnisphere, since that's where it originated. And then we'll go from there. This is a library that Bernie, who is in the group chat, along with a number JX3D. Yeah, sorry. We had to restart the stream. My mic, I didn't have settings right, and it's one of those things where if they're not right, they're not right. You can tell really right away that it doesn't sound good. So, and I tried to fix it during the stream and it didn't work, so I restarted. So, we are looking at a new library. This is Neutronics. I say Neu because I say Neutron. I guess it's Neutron, so it should be Neutronics. This is a library by the ESC, which is a rather unique situation. There's 14 programmers. Some of these are people's names that you know from years of doing stuff here at Plugin Guru for the bonus libraries that we've done. But a lot of these guys have their own websites and promote and sell their own patches. Hey, if you guys want to say like ESC and then website where people can find your other patches, go ahead and post a little promotion. But the loops and sending. Thanks, Pad King. We have a number of other bonus things to tell you guys about today. There's a distortion plugin that sort of works, sort of doesn't work. I've emailed them. They haven't gotten back to me, but I want to show it to you anyhow because it's cool and you can save them in Unify. And then there's someone that you should know about that has some sample instruments that are really cool that I will be sharing free links so you can download the libraries. And they come both in SFC format for Unify and for Contact. So there's Harold. So if you guys want to promote your website where you sell your patches as part, you're part of the ESC, but you also have your own business. I know Sebastian Baer is a friend of mine that is also making libraries and selling them, has for a long time. Fred Nungat is also, I think Anton, I don't know if Anton has his own website yet. Tim Dale is a Plugin Guru, longtime veteran programmer. He has done Sabersphere Volume 2, OmniX Volume 2. Tetrasonics was the latest library that he has done that came out just a couple months ago. So if you guys want to share away, this is a library that's available both here and at Triple Spiral Audio. We're kind of doing a together in tandem, which is cool because Yop is another friend of mine, as well as Bernie's, and he's the one that set this all up. So there's 197 patches. I'm not gonna play through the whole thing. I did a patch walkthrough video just before this one a couple days ago. But it's a great library. A lot of fun, creative, deep programming. There are kind of two approaches to making libraries, I see. There's one that I do a lot, like if you go to Mega Magic Pads or Mega Magic Violin or something like that. This is where a lot of the, let's see if we go strings. This is where it's like maybe just the one sample by itself. And it doesn't need anything else because everything for the sound is in the sample. There's other libraries like what we have for Neutronics where the guys took a different approach. If we initialize this, and if you go deep inside of Omnisphere, if you change to the samples, navigate, Spectrasonics makes it a pain in the butt where you have to go down here and click user. And now you can see all your user library samples and go to Neutronics. These are the samples that are used to build this. And if you call these up, right? They're cool waveforms, but you need to program with them. You need to set up Omnisphere and use them in conjunction. I think a lot of these would be really cool just to be solo by themselves, you know? Maybe Bernie and the team can make some of these as a bonus library that we could stick in at the end or something like that. But what they've done instead is they've gone kind of like program crazy. Not all the time. This is one with just one layer. There's all sorts of stuff. I shouldn't be saying that, but there's patches that are cool, simple, and there's other ones that are like this is just one layer. So some of the samples work really great by themselves. I shouldn't be saying. When you get to the BPM and stuff, they program a lot. So. You know. That just means that there's a lot of more personality put into it than just the samples, which is really cool. Right? There's so many BPM ARPs of all sorts of things. A lot of these you could just take this and like build away. If I went over here to Unify, I could say Cloud City, BPM drum, down here towards the end. You know, they work really great in production. Open this up, go to where the crash is. Mute that sucker so it doesn't start every time. So, all sorts of fun stuff to play with. Both BPM ARP, BPM bass. BPM beats. Which if I wanted to combine this with a new kick, it's actually probably faster to do it this way than trying to set up an Omnisphere. Let's go to Neutronics and add this as a new layer. Right? So they work in layers and all sorts of stuff together. BPM sequences. These are fun. They're using various types of arpeggiated tricks. right? So that's all kind of fun, cool stuff. Play chords is cool for it. One of the BPM pads by WS, I believe, was it this one that had a very wave sequency, you know? So good stuff. It goes on and on. Tons of BPM stuff to play with. Battle of the Frogs was cool. I think in my walkthrough videos, like, I want to hear somebody make a song with this. So, guys, go for it. There's some cool keyboard sounds. Which work well in layers, of course. Leads. Pads for days. Some of them, I believe, maybe just because of Harmonia. Still making my computer a little bit tired. And it's like, wah! Right? Very nice, Bernie. Good job. It's pretty cool when you think about how Bernie's someone that has become a friend, and we've worked together, and he's submitted patches for some of the bonus libraries, and then he started the ESC. He's the kind of the spear leader, the spearhead to get everybody else involved. He's got 14 other programmers that are some of the best in Europe on his team making this library. It's very cool. Cool history there. Good stuff. That cool. Dark Fate. The textures are really cool. You could definitely do some cool stuff with these. Off-world. Yeah, Fred loves these kind of stuff. Ah, from Vienna for WS, yeah. So, Neutronics, a library combining a whole bunch of new samples of the semi-modular Behringer Neutron. I've thought about getting one of those because it is a cool little synth, very diverse, and they sampled the daylights out of it to make this library. So there's all sorts of cool stuff to play with. Very, very cool. So good job to the ESC. And if you want this library, it's available right now at pluginguru.com. Just head on over to the website and just click the little logo right here on the front page, and that will take you to the page where you can get it. You can hear demos, you can see the walkthrough video, more details about the people that made the library, how they made it, a little bit more information there. So yeah, good stuff. Okay. Definitely inspiring. You could definitely go all sorts of places with this. Okay. So I also want to point out that there are 3 libraries that were made available in Unify format last week. They have been on sale for $25 at my website. There is, let me see, the Massive Power Pack, which, now I want to point out, even I think for Omnisphere 1.2, which is, I'm working with the beta version right now of Unify 1.2. One cool thing that we did, if you have this library for Massive, if you have worked with it, you'll notice that each time you call up a patch, it takes this long process to load the patch. You go to the next patch, it resets and reloads itself. And I pointed this out to Shane, and we have solved that so that in 1.2, it's immediate. It's 1.1.10 what you have. For some reason, Massive is not being able to do, we do a pre-buffering, and it's some technique that Shane came up with so that we can go through it really quickly. And I think this will also be a benefit to Omnisphere and other things because we keep the plugin more in memory and somehow resources can be shared. I don't know how Shane does this. It's part of the magic why I love working with the guy. This is, I believe, I started this website, Plugin Guru, in 2009. I think, I gotta look back at my history because I'm fuzzy with some of this stuff, but I believe this is the 3rd library that I released. I believe it was, FM8 was first, then Stylus RMX, and then Massive. And at the time, and even today, if you own Massive, there's certain categories of sounds, even with their thousands and thousands of patches, that are just not that strong. And so I went through and added patches that I thought it should have had when it was released, basically. And so there's all sorts of really cool things that you don't expect Massive to do. That's kind of what I like doing with all these libraries that I've done where this library came out way before dubstep hit, but I did go back and I did add some more wobbly kind of things and so this is one of the libraries that's been converted. Like I pointed out last week, Boombox has also been converted to Unify format. So all of these cool sounds that are available in Omnisphere are in one library for you to go through. Some cool combination patches I made. And then down here, there's tons of core things. There's transitions. There's multis where like this is combining all of these different elements together into all sorts of big things, Into the Void, I believe is kind of a cool big, live on FM radio, Bill Sears at 3 p.m. Stuff like that. This is a library that I think 2 years ago we got the Plugin Guru Nation involved, and we made this bonus library. Everybody, it was around Halloween time. We're actually going to do a programming thing for Halloween, so get ready to program in Unify. We get to program in our own plugin. So I'll be probably announcing that next week. That's what I'm thinking once we get closer to the start of October. But these are all patches that Plugin Guru customers created. And they are also included with this library. So you get just both for Omnisphere and for Unify. If you combine a couple of these things together, for some reason, there must be something not quite right in this build. So you can make all sorts of weird stuff. There's cool hits. Now, in a patch like this, let's take a look at how this is being built. We'll do a little programming for a minute and see if we can see what's going on. So, Harmonia. And then this pipe organ is doing that. I kind of wanted to do like a... Wait, actually this is stay at 0. Let's see if the module's not doing anything, so let's try to modulate this with the wheel and have it go inverted, I think just like a little bit. Because Omnisphere's 29. Oh, see, I'm close, so reset to default. Oh wait, it needs to be like hold down shift. And this needs to go up 28. So we can go like this and say modulate with the wheel and have this be so this way you can do something from a Rush album or from a Yes album. Go over here, link these to make the release a little bit shorter. Now you have something for a progressive track. So using the mod wheel to do creative transpose. Sounds like something from, there's a beginning of a Rush track that does that I love. Okay, so, yes, for these to work, for these unified libraries, you need to own the plugin that is being unified. So the Massive Power Pack, you need to own Massive. So for this to work, it's basically calling up the patch in Massive. So see how long it takes to load when you first load the patch? So here's Massive from Native Instruments. You need to own that for this patch to work. The unified libraries, all of these unified libraries, if it says O2, it's for Omnisphere 2. If it says Trillion, it's for Trillion. If I go Zebra 2, This means you need to own Zebra number 2, volume 2. They're working on 3, but it's not done yet. If we go over here to bass, let's add this. So I'm using Zebra and I'm using Massive. Now, if I want to go to Omnisphere and add something from like Omnipulse, which are these rhythmic libraries, Omnipulse Volume 2 is out this week. Next week, Omnipulse Volume 3 will be coming out. It's just about done. I'm working on the multis. But I could go over here to BPM Bass and I could say Sinking Ships, add that, and so I'm using Zebra for this. If you right click or control click on solo, it will let you just go down the list. You hear just one at a time. If you don't use that, you can add to solo. And then what's cool is if you use control or right click on the solo button, it turns them all off. So you can do really fun, fast things with this where you're playing a cool groove. And then all I have to do is right click and back at it. Okay? So you need to own the plugins that are mentioned. Down here, these are unified libraries for plugins where I've saved out the factory patches of a specific plugin so that you have those to work with. This is Obsession, which is an OBXD type of a synth that's commercial that you can buy. It's got some really cool features that are more advanced than OBXD. Let's go to Boombox. Let's go to BPM Texture and add this. Then I could go over to Neutronics. Let's go to oh, I clicked. See, that's one thing you can do sometimes. Oops. This is where we wish we had an undo button. Will come in the future. It's just a lot of work to make it implemented, so we haven't done that yet. So you get the idea. They're buildable, but you have to own the plugin that they're talking about here. So right now, Boombox came out, Omnipulse Volume 2, which is a cool library where there's these big multis at the end that are using a whole bunch of layers, and then I've saved out all those patches. Right? So all these individual patches are available up here in the list, as well as down here in the multi-mode. That will call up each one on its own layer. And there's some fun stuff. Magic Split, that's what Bernie did? Yeah, Bernie's in this library. He's everywhere. Yes. Yeah, you need to own them to make them work. You know, I'm a big believer that most all of us torrent at some point in our lives when we're younger. As you get older, you say, oh, no, I want to own everything. And you know, that was in my 20s when computers, you know, I used to, in LA, people used to pass around CDs with everybody's plugins on it. But at some point you go, you know what? I really want to own my own plugins. And it's a cycle everybody goes through, right? So this is the third of the 3 libraries right now that are available. They're normally $39 or $35 libraries. All 3 of them are $25 until midnight tonight. So the Massive Power Pack, Omnipulse Volume 2, and Boombox are the 3 libraries that are right now available at a discounted rate. And to find these, I don't actually, I kind of keep this kind of a little quiet. I don't know why, but if you go over here to products, oh, I messed things up on my formatting. Oh, that's nice. I'll fix that. But if you go down here, you'll see Boombox is right. Patches only Boombox for Omnisphere and Unify. Native instruments, there's the massive power pack with Unify patches. And then Omnipulse Volume 2 is right here. That's where you find them, is under the products list. For some, I was reformatting it, adding the text, and I messed up the formatting on my website, so I have to fix that. But those 3 libraries, you got less than 24 hours at $25 each. But you have to own those plugins in order to use those patches in either the plugin itself or the bonus version, which is the Unified version. Because what's fun is now you can take this, go to the massive power pack, combine this with my favorite patch, Checkmate. Let's go down here and Checkmate. Not gonna quite work because it's got a different thing that it does melody-wise, but we'll try it. That's cool. What's fun with this is you can open this up, there's real-time controls. Fun. So it doesn't work with this bass line because it just sits there. So have it go away. Everything else it works pretty well with. So that's fun. Cool. Okay. So let's get to the bonus part. I have received people contact me through email at my website and let me know about new libraries and new samples that they find that they really like. And one of my customers let me know about a company called Decent Samples. So I don't know if you know about them. DecentSamples.com. They are a company that has some rather unique libraries that they have sampled of the instruments for Contact and SFZ format, melodica, all sorts of different things, right? Well, at the end of the list, if you get all the way, I think it's here, high to low, or let's say low to high, they have quite a few things that are free. And some of these are really nice. I haven't tried the stump piano yet, but that looks interesting. Wine glasses. Yeah, so all of these are free. The box violin I'm going to show you, and I'm going to also show you the resonator glockenspiel. All you have to do is choose right here what format you want. Contact, SFZ, which can be loaded with the SFZ sample player inside of Unify, or they have their own sampler format that they call Decent Sampler. But you click this, you pop up your email and your name, and then you can download it. There's no registering, although I believe they will be sending you email in the future, which you can unsubscribe from if you want. But they have quite a few libraries that are, I thought, were really decent and well, decent. There you go. So I can show you both in 2 ways. In the user library, I have recorded, mapped out like the glockenspiel using the sound font player. It's interesting. It's like a glockenspiel type of an instrument, but if you watch the video, it actually has the resonators underneath it. So while it looks flat, the thing that's cool about it is that underneath it has those resonating chambers, right? Okay, you can go away, and you can go away. So it's kind of cool that it gives it a different rounder warm tone, right? So decentsamples.com, the box violin, it's kind of a metallic ringy sound, but if you were to go to like Discover Station, and let's add the strings that are just, I gotta see where I put them, the full ensemble, we have the Eternal version. I guess this is the closest I'm gonna get, or is it ENS? Brass strings, BBC. Yeah, this library is what I'm going to be focusing on next, so it's still a work in progress library. Ensemble. Let's try this. Add this as a Unify layer. Turn it down. It's cool to combine with the real strings. Right? It's cool in that way. I also have it in contact format to show you. Let's go over here to contact. I used the quick load feature. If you're not familiar with that, let me show you this because it's super cool. And to me, a better way to use contact than even the big browser that's got all the libraries, because you can just right click to have this show up. And if I go over here to my sample libraries, I have a separate hard drive with terabytes and terabytes of libraries. If I go to the decent sample libraries, here like Glockenspiel, right? So if I go down here to decent samples, and let's say delete that. So I don't have the volume 2. All you have to do is take the NKI, drag it over here. Right here, you can right click and say add a new folder to make the library that you want to put something into. And with this, I can quickly add things so easily. Now I can just go over here to decent samples, boom, and now it's there for me to load. It's so much faster than using the browser and having to go to files and navigate to wherever it is on your hard drive to just have this go away. So you don't even have to see the browser, and you can just right click when you want. I can say keys, add this. I need to change the MIDI channel to 1. And add it. And then right click again for it to go away, and now I have my interface for Mega Magic Dreams. Right? So he has created, let me show you a couple other things. Let's see, make that go away. Right click, go decent samples. Here's the mod wheel version of the sustains, which is nice. Really, yes. I believe when you have this all the way up, it's actually 8. Layers, okay? So decent samples. If you want some new sound libraries that are cool and better than decent, in my opinion, that is a good place to check out. The other thing I want to show you, and I'm going to just say at the beginning, this is not working quite right. It's cool, but it's not working quite right. And I've emailed them, and they haven't written back yet. If you send me an email, I try to reply within the next 6 hours or less. They haven't replied yet, but so this is just one of the guitars from Unify. This is actually the same guitar that's used in, those, say all libraries, because there's not many in this. So let me do this. Let's make this go away. Add this as a Unify layer so we can compare to it and have that go away. Because I want to go over to the user library to Naked to show you this new thing that I have found for you guys. Let's see, Naked, add this just as a current layer. And we can get rid of the doubles. And then go over here. And the name of the company is Audio Assault, and it's called Grind Machine 2. And for some reason, the patches don't show up, but once it's installed, the distortion and the cabinets do. And compare that the two together. There's cool, there's this tight control. Impact makes it a little brighter. There's even a gate. If you have a noisy guitar, you can use it to get rid of gate. Sounds good on drums, all sorts of things I've tried it on. And you can set it up, and if you save patches, it actually will call up with the assignments that you set up. I wanted to verify that before I shared it with you. This is from a website in South America or Mexico, I believe. Let me find it here for you. I will show you the website. It's called Audio Assault. And here they have, it says $7, but if you hit buy and add it to your cart, it says $0. So you can get it for free. When you go to checkout, there's actually an option to add 8 more cabs, or 23 cabs and 8 more amp. It's basically a convolution reverb player is how it's working with. So you can add that for $5. I did that, so I have even more different distortions to work with in the list, here and here. Maybe I didn't add them right now. The other ones you would just add to the folder that they have for them. I think these are just the 15 that it comes with, but okay. So Audio Assault is the website. Let's see, get that back up. audioassault.com, and you will see that you can get to this free distortion plugin. And again, it sounds good on all sorts of things. Let me copy this setting. Let's just for fun go to Cloud City to something that shouldn't have distortion on it, right? Like let's say let's see what this sounds like with a little so go all Audio Assault, Grind Machine, and then go over here and say paste. They don't have a mix. And I didn't do a lot of testing with this, but these convolution presets are WAV files, which means we should be able to take and put them into our own convolution player, Klangfalter. So with Klangfalter, we should be able to load these up and play with them, okay? So I haven't done a lot of that kind of testing yet, because this is something relatively new to play with, but then you'd have a mix between wet and dry. Okay, so those are available for free. I will put the links to these in the chat after I get done with this video time, okay? Yeah, cool sounds. So thank you, cool. So those are some fun opportunities for playing around with new sounds, new instruments. By the way, this is kind of interesting too, just so you know how this can work. If you use here, I gotta go over here because there's some things happening that you can't see about quite yet. But if I go to Unify, to the instruments, to the sound font player, here it is. It's very basic. I'm going to talk to Shane to see if we can't maybe soup this up a little bit, at least with envelopes, because some of these things are showing up with default envelope settings that aren't very attractive. But if you go to sample, my samplers folder, and we go to decent samples, if I want to have, you know, the swells.sfz, just drag it over and they're in. And this is on a separate hard drive, not even connected on my system hard drive. If I save this patch, it saves the location. So you can have SFZs stored anywhere on your computer. If I go down here to the various patches that I made with the SFZ samples, when I click this, it's accessing the samples from my other hard drive. And here, let's do a little, before we say sayonara for the day, let's go. And let's call this Temple, Chill Temple. Okay, so I've made a MIDI file inside of Logic, and all I have to do is Command Option E to save this to my desktop. Come over here and say Chill Temple, and there it is. So now I can delete this MIDI file. This is something coming in 1.2. You can do some of this inside of Unify right now with 1.1.10, where you would say, click to load, click open. What's fun, however, is with MIDI box now we have, right now you have transpose, right? But we now have the ability to go to something called Polytranspose. So it's now playing that MIDI file with however many notes I play. I'm just playing. So I could go to the main library. I could say I want to add a cool pad to this. Turns that a little bit, it's too loud. Now, I don't think I played C for the MIDI box. I played D's. So tell it you played D. And now, isn't that cool? So that's a feature that we have coming in Unify 1.2. Polyphonic MIDI, just that simple. Before this, you could still do this with Unify 1.1.10, but it takes a lot more work. So if we were to go copy this, I'll show you how to do it if you're in Unify 1.1.10, okay? So you'd say let's have this go away. So let's say operation, remove this plugin. You would say I need to have a MIDI effect of Polybox. And let's have it playing 8 layers. So it's looking for 8 voices to play, right? And I would go, this is going to listen to Polybox. And I would set up a MIDI box. And I think, let's do this. Let's say, paste the settings. But you don't have this poly, you just have single transpose, right? So now it's working right? But now you go over here and you would say, because I have this set to MIDI channel 1, and then I need to set this to MIDI, channel 1, which means only it plays once, and then it's 7 times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then because it's cycling through MIDI channels. This is listening only to MIDI channel 1 now. So now I can go over here and we have these shortcuts to make 7 layers. So now I have made 7 layers. Same thing. So we've taken this process and made it so that all you have to do now is just get rid of Polybox, go to MIDI box, set it back to all MIDI channels, and change to Polytranspose. And it does the same thing as making a Polybox, making as many copies as you want to play. Isn't that cool? So we're doing things like that to make it more efficient. I mean, I needed to have 8 sound font players loaded with 8 times this map before. And now I don't. I just have MIDI box talking to one layer. So that's a really, really cool thing. We did that because of what we're doing with Discover Station. When we get to these big string things and we wanted to play them polyphonically, I have a whole bunch of these things that are, we're up here, BPM strings, these rhythmic strings, where it's calling up. It used to be that it needed to call up 20 different layers of strings to do. And now it's just simply one MIDI box set to Polytranspose. Used to be this is 3 separate Unify layers and it was very complex. So we have that kind of stuff. We'll be working on this coming couple of weeks. I'm going to be making a ton of stuff to go along with it. The stuff that we've got already for this. So this will be coming in October with the release of Unify 1.2, which includes that Polybox ability in MIDI box. Like this is made right now the old way with Polybox and all of these layers. I can condense all this into just one layer instead of needing 8 layers to play this. It'll be much easier to manage. So that's very exciting to get to work on this week for optimizing and all that kind of stuff. So anyway, do you guys have any questions? I haven't been following along with questions too closely. If you say that, does the MIDI stay in MIDI box or will it look for the MIDI file? It will save it accessing my desktop because that's where I have it right now. And then if I delete this from my desktop, it won't be able to find it. It won't be able to load it. So just make a folder. What I typically do is I just have, I save them into the Unify standard library folder or start a library. I'm going to be teaching you guys, we're going to be making a library together. So we're going to be making a library where we all have a library with basically the same name minus our name added at the end of the library. We have a cool system where actually you can have multiple folders of libraries, and the library name is saved inside the file. It's not the name of the folder. If you go to Boombox and change this to something else, the Boombox patches still show up under Boombox because it's actually saved into the XML file for the library. So we'll be making our own library. I'm going to show you guys how to contribute so that we can all be making MIDI files. Kendall, this wonderful gentleman that has converted a number of these, most of these Omnisphere 2 libraries and massive libraries and so forth, he actually works, I believe, in a mine, and he sent me some samples that I'm going to be sharing with you guys for free. I'm going to go through and pick out the best of the samples, and we'll be using those. Plus, I'm going to be making some samples during a live stream for that library. Then you guys can make your own samples and send them to me. We'll have 1 week or 2 weeks of making samples. So if you want to start this week, if you want to make some kind of, think Halloween, scary noise, winds, effects, hits, don't use anything that's copywritten that we can get in trouble with. Make sure that it's stuff that you make yourself. Get yourself a little field recorder. These little Tascam recorders, that like the DR100 Mark III, these are really affordable. There's all sorts of different sizes. They sound really good. The Mark III can record 192 kilohertz, 24-bit audio. Has a built-in limiter. We had a massive thunder lightning storm here a couple nights ago, and I recorded it with this, and it sounds great. It's also got XLR inputs right here so that you can connect better microphones to this to record if you want. Its preamps are really nice. Start making some samples. You'll send the samples to me. I will be mapping them and then making the starting library for us all to then make MIDI files and patches, okay? So the rules being that we'll have to use just Unify plugins, which means anytime you go to a folder and it's Unify standard, these are the instruments. For when you get to the plugins, it's the Unify standard list of all of these audio effects. And for MIDI effects, it's all the, if you say empty layer MIDI effect, it's just whatever we have built into Unify, right? So you don't use any Valhalla reverbs, and don't use other companies' plugins. That way everybody gets to enjoy them, okay? So that's kind of, we're gonna, cat purring, whatever you want to record. Just, if it's, don't tell me where it came from, if it's weird. But all right, so let's wrap it up. Any other questions? I'm gonna do shout out from Portland. Yeah, there's benefits to owning Unify because it's my baby and I want to support it with all sorts of fun things and bring you guys along on the way. So we'll be making our own boombox for Omnisphere. Okay, so I've got some sound effects and hits and things I will be sticking into the library from Orlando, Essex, and it will be a library we will sell after Halloween. It will become a $35 library probably. So contribute to the library, realizing that it's going to get to be shared for free at first, and then sent to me. I get to put it into the library and sell it with a license to protect the samples in the future. Oh my gosh, look at everybody. Nashville, Cape Town, South Africa. Good to see you, Johan. Sweden, Stockholm. I love that you guys are all over the world. It's the best. Hey, Steve, isn't it nice to have fresh air? I hope the air is good where you are. We've got, it's been crazy. Like a week ago, the air was the worst air on the planet. And today it's in the green. It's healthy. So, yay. And some thumbs up. Cool. Good. Good to see you, man. Good to see Barry in the Netherlands. Look at that. Harold in Bavaria. Harold, stay healthy. Hope you're doing well. All right. Well, I am sorry for the rough start. And I'm glad I was able to. Yes, good. Yeah, blue skies here too. It's very nice. Greetings to Bernie. Good to see you in Holland, my friend. Tim Dale. Where are you at? You're somewhere in like Essex, right? Or Wales. Wales. Sorry. Canada. Yay. Cool. Well, be well. We will see you in a week. If you want to start making samples and sending them to Unify support at plugandgroove.com, that would be awesome. We will put together a little pack, and in like 2 weeks is when we'll start programming. So I think that's when October starts. We'll do some sessions getting into complex, weird sounds, how to do cool things inside of Unify with the tools that we've got, okay? So thank you all. Martin, good to see you in Orlando. I missed a whole string, yes. Sorry, Don. Yeah, you can restart it. There's a couple versions. I'm going to delete the first one that I did because that was bad. But I got the audio working for the second version. So cheers. All right. Hey, Bernie in Switzerland, good to see you. Everybody be well. We'll see you in another live stream, okay?